Welcome back to the R&D podcast. My name's Dalton. I got Fork and Chen here today with me. We got a jam-packed show for you tonight. We're going to start off with the rivalry games. We have a lot of coaching drama, and we'll get into that later on in the podcast. Let's go ahead and start now with the rivalry games. We'll start off with Texas versus Texas A&M in Austin. A really impressive win from Texas. What are we thinking on this game? What are we thinking about this performance from Texas A&M, especially on the offensive side of the ball? Fork, I'll let you start.
Pain. That's all I'm gonna say. My secondary SEC team got a little torched that game. Marcel Reed looked okay. I mean, in moments he looked bad. He looked rough. The arm really didn't look like it was there the whole time. The legs looked fine, but until he got hit and he took a weird, I think it was an ankle injury he got in the first half, maybe first quarter. Just didn't look like he ever recuperated from it, honestly.
I'll tell you what impressed me in this game, especially on Texas's offense, the run game for Texas, and they've been kind of lackluster all year, but they really showed up in this game and impressed me against a pretty good run defense at Texas A&M. Other than that, Chen, what you got for me?
I'm gonna piggyback off of you. Their run game looked a lot better. It looked like what they were gonna say they were gonna do preseason wise. Arch didn't look terrible. But the past two big games A&M has played, they just haven't looked like the A&M we've been seeing all year. With South Carolina and now Texas. I think they needed this loss. Like you hear people say that, well, they needed this loss so they know we're beatable.
This is the best place to lose, honestly.
Yeah.
Like lose now before you get the SEC championship, so you get out of the SEC championship now. You don't have to worry about going and playing Georgia and getting wore down from that game. Now you go play. Let's say you just get a bye week, basically, right? Until you go into the playoff.
Well, I'm interested to see where they fall. I imagine they can't fall out of the top four in this one, and realistically, they need to stay around that spot to be able to get the bye in the first round. That's going to be very important for Texas A&M. I really don't know how far the college football playoff poll is going to drop them, though. Tuesday.
I think they'll put them like 6 or 7, because this guy. I knew it as I was saying. Don't start, man. Come on.
I had a kid in Home Depot screaming that today. I was just walking around Christmas lights. And you can't get away from that now. But
are we live?
With football talk.
We're live.
I'm gonna hold that till later. Then I'm gonna wait. So hold on, chill. Okay. So what I think they'll probably drop around 6 or 7 around that ballpark. They'll be behind the Ole Miss just because it was a loss to Texas during rivalry week. But the big thing is where do you put Texas in the college football playoff? Because they were sitting at 16. Was it 16, I believe?
Yeah.
And then they beat the number 3 team at home. Where do you think they're going to fall now? That's my big question. A&M should be fine, but Texas is really the wild card to me.
See, well, the thing you got to look at Miami. They're at, I think, 12 or 13.
They're at 12 right now. I think they're the first
team in their conference championship. And then you look at Vandy, who's 2 losses, who has a loss to Texas. But you add in the fact that Texas has lost to Florida, Oklahoma, and Ohio State, which the Ohio State game was close. But I don't think they jump in because of the teams that are ahead of them. Like, if they were to jump in right now, they'd end up getting pushed out. If you see what I'm saying here.
There's a lot of teams in that 16 to 12 window that they could just, either that are a lot of fans are going to be really mad because they all want the 10, 11, and 12 spot. And it's just there's a lot of teams that deserve it. I mean, all the teams really have a point to push on why they should have it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, you've only got 12 spots. So, I mean, push comes to shove, somebody's out. And it's going to be a big team that really probably should have jumped in.
If you want to be honest with you, I think it's going to be Bama. I think Bama's going to get held out because of the SEC championship. And do I think that's right? I do not. But I think it is a possibility that it could happen.
The thing that I'm worried about with Bama getting the chance of being pushed out is where does Vanderbilt go from where they were ranked? Given, though, that they do have the head-to-head loss against Bama and they lost to Texas. but their 2 losses are better than Bama's 2 losses, given where they were and who they were against.
I don't think Vanderbilt gets into it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think Vanderbilt gets into
Look,
it.
I don't think
I don't even think you can
dogged out
compare
Tennessee on the
Vanderbilt
road.
because you have to have the G5 team that makes it in there, and then you're gonna have ACC's conference champion, which is
Actually, hang
Virginia
on.
more than likely.
If Duke wins the ACC, they're not in it.
Yeah, they're not in it, but Virginia.
They're gonna put I think James Madison if they were
Yeah,
to win.
they'll
they
put
would him
JMU
there.
in, right?
I
But
thought it was Tulane was sitting top of their
Yeah,
thing.
Tulane, if they win the American, they're in. Like no matter what.
Tulane's
North
gonna be
But
Texas
if
is in
Duke
that
was
as
to
well.
win, then
Actually, no, I don't
throw
want
a lot
Tulane to
out.
win. No, I don't want that scamming coach to win the American. No. No,
Is
go
he
to
still
Florida and
coaching?
have fun. I'm tired of this, all right?
But
Is he pulling a Lane
so
Kiffin and just leaving?
what do you say?
Is he pulling a lane
Are
and
they
just
allowed
leaving?
him to coach the
Yeah,
like
yeah. John
postseason?
Summerall will
Okay.
remain there. Unlike Lane Kiffin and LSU, which it's because it's not in conference, really and truly is
Okay.
what it is. It's not in conference. There's no reason to hold him out. But there is a case scenario where Bama gets held out of the playoffs, which is scary to know going into the SEC championship. You're having to play the extra game. You just won you're the 1 seed in the SEC, and you may not make it into the playoffs. You're 7-1, 10-2, and you may not make it to the playoffs, being the 1 seed in the SEC, which is incredible to me.
Well,
But
then if they do that, you're gonna have teams holding out on conference championships every year.
What I
They're
think
like,
is going
well,
to
I don't
come,
want that extra loss.
what I think it's going to come down to, and we'll probably see it after this year or maybe next year, is them not even playing a conference championship game because there's no point in it now, and just saying we're going to crown a regular season champion with whoever has the best record and the best stats, and just keep on pushing because
I was going
you
to say they're
can't
going to
continue to make
resort
teams
to the
play an extra
MLB
game.
option, to where how the MLB has divisions. They have all 6 divisions in the MLB,
Yeah.
and each team that wins, they just kind of win their division. Hoorah! You get a pennant, have fun, but that's it. And then you go straight into the playoffs after that, and that's what you're going to end up having.
Yeah, and that's what it's going to have to come down to. But you know what was another interesting game to me, and we'll kind of bounce off that Texas A&M Texas game. Impressive win for Texas, and it makes it really interesting continuing on. One game that caught my eye while we were sitting in the stands this week for the Auburn Alabama game was the LSU Oklahoma game. LSU was kind of playing right along with Oklahoma, and that would have made things a lot more simple if LSU could have found a way to pull that one off. Now, this game next year with Lane Kiffin at the helm may be a completely different game and be a fun one to watch. That's going to be interesting. We'll talk more about the Lane Kiffin hire here in just a little while. We'll move past that game. We didn't really cover that game last week, so I just want to throw that in there to mention Lane Kiffin's name.
I'm just going to say, not Ole Miss, Oklahoma. Their offense is terrible, dude.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet and it says Oklahoma's really going to go out there and make the playoffs, score 7 points, and get bounced first round to Ohio State. Or something. It was something stupid like that. It had me laughing so hard.
Mateer just hasn't looked the same since he got injured.
Somebody said that Mateer needs to be investigated for sports gambling because he broke his thumb and then just forgot how to play football.
Yeah. Some people just can't bounce back. And it was a throwing hand, so it happens like that. Georgia versus Georgia Tech, though. Number 4, Georgia. Number 23, Georgia Tech. This game right here, it's so crazy to me how much of a carbon copy Georgia is of Alabama. Or Alabama is of Georgia. They're basically almost exactly like the fact that they have a struggling offense and a pretty good defense. They're finding ways to win games, but not by much. It's never comfortable. This game's going to be that game's going to be interesting next week in Atlanta, Georgia. But Georgia, I honestly thought they were in position to lose this game more than not. I thought Georgia Tech was going to turn it around, especially right there at the end of the game whenever Georgia Tech had a chance to drive the ball down the field and take the lead. Just couldn't get it done. Pork, Chen, what did y'all see in this game? Either one.
I didn't watch the game a whole lot. I was like in and out of the house a lot, but I just think Georgia Tech just kind of shot themselves in the foot a lot. You know, you hardly passed the 50, and somebody on Twitter said this, and I kind of agreed with them. I get you want to take your points, but there's a time where like you have to get confidence in your offense.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're getting stopped every time. Like you have to go put the ball in the end zone. You kick 3 field goals and you lose by 7.
Rough day for Gunnar
your
Stockton.
Offense, Gunnar Stockton, he.
But
I did not.
11 for 21, 70 yards.
Was this Friday, the Georgia Tech game?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
2:30 game, so I know
Okay.
y'all had y'all.
So
yeah,
I
y'all
was
were
in
able to watch it.
Birmingham at
Yeah.
7 or 8:30 in the morning. I did not get to watch barely any football. I did get to watch A&M Texas though. That was the only game I did get to
That was a
watch
good game.
Friday.
You want me to give you an interesting stat from this Georgia Tech game, and while I'm stressing the fact that Georgia's offense does not look good, you only have one receiver that broke over double-digit pass or receiving yards in this game. That was Zachariah Branch with 53.
Branch.
Other than that, the one behind him was Josh McCray, 2 receptions for 9 yards. Nate Frazier, 2 receptions for 5, 2 receptions for 3. And you had 200 yards on the ground. Like, you had 200 yards on the ground, which is fair. But, man, your passing game's got to be better if you want to beat Alabama. But passing game's got to be better for Alabama if you want to beat Georgia. So they go hand in hand.
That's the big kicker right there. Is what quarterback's going to be able to like get the ball to their receivers, and whose receivers are going to be able to hold on to the ball is the big question.
I think a lot of it's going to be, in which we won't go too far deep into this SEC championship game situation, but what defense can put their offense in the best position to score, whether it be a turnover, turnover on downs, etc. Get better field position for these offenses to score because they are struggling to move the ball as effectively as what they have been able to earlier in the season. Who can create turnovers? Who can maybe get a score on defense? If there's a defensive score in this game, that's more than likely going to be the team that wins. I know that's like common sense, whatever you want to call it, but it's just because of the struggle of offenses, right? And I think that if you can get points on the board with your defense, it's going to go a long way in this SEC championship game more than what it would in a normal game.
Well, I can agree with that. I agree with that.
The game. Ohio State versus Michigan. To start this game, I was like, "Oh my lord, what?"
That's what I was doing watching that game.
I don't know,
Good
but
God.
I don't know if y'all saw the opening quarter of this game though. Michigan looked like they were fishing to cause some havoc. And then it started
Michigan
snowing.
came out firing, and then just kind of Ohio State gets that touchdown with Jeremiah Smith, and then it just kind of they're like,
well,
we tried.
Game's over.
Julian Sayin basically threw a out route to the corner to start this game, and Michigan came out run the ball very well. Ohio State eventually adjusted and ran away with this game, but overall, pretty boring game for this one. Can't lie to you after the first quarter. We'll move on
That's
quickly.
the greatest rivalry in college football, though, right? A straight up snooze fest, 60 minutes a year of football that just everyone falls asleep in the stadium.
Yeah, no doubt.
I want that rivalry down south, down here in Alabama. That's what I want.
And we're going to get to that one here after this next game, Tennessee versus Vanderbilt, 45-24 for the Commodores. Diego Pavia, 18, 28, 268, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, but 165 yards on the ground with a touchdown. Diego Pavia turned the ball over through the air has been a kind of a reoccurring thing in the past 2 games with 2 turnovers. But overall, he is the offense for this Vanderbilt team. So you expect him to make mistakes whenever you have that much weight on your shoulders. Another impressive outing by this Vanderbilt offense.
Dude, somebody took Tennessee by like 30 on the pod like Sunday or Tuesday. That was stupid. So stupid. Somebody said 49-17 or something like that. They almost got the score right just the other way. What are you pulling the paper out for? You don't have to pull the paper out.
Knower of ball under his
You don't have to pull the paper out, okay?
I think that needs to be taken away.
Don't have to pull the paper out.
The knower of ball needs to be taken away if you said
Hey, if you look, I was about to have the Iron Bowl prediction correct, but Cam Coleman didn't realize there was a sideline. Okay. All right. What are you humming for, sir?
Port, 49-17 Tennessee.
Hey,
Dalton, 41-31 Tennessee. What the hell? What the hell? Georgia Tech, Georgia. Dalton. What's up?
You know what's crazy? I bet I got the prediction right.
Yeah,
I was just completely wrong on the team.
I'll tell you where I overshot at the Georgia Tech Georgia game. I had Georgia win 38-21. Where did I find this offense at? Port had 21-10 Georgia. Pretty reasonable score.
You were close. You were close.
Let me give you this one though. What was the final score?
About to toot his horn.
Well, I'll talk about this one later on. But this one was this score prediction was good. I also had I had Texas A&M winning 31-24. You had 24-21 A&M. So we suck. rightfully so. Maybe we
I'm
should be doing a
chilling.
podcast.
I'm
Just
chilling.
because I
Maybe we
wasn't
should
here.
do-
Look,
Oh,
I
yeah.
have been knighted by the football gods. Look at my name. You see what I've got knighted. I don't know what you're talking about.
Let me remove
What are you
that
talking
real
about? We
quick.
suck. It sounds like
This
a
is
skill
a-
issue.
We'll move on to this game because I feel like this is kind of where we need to be at, the Auburn versus Alabama game. I was up in the I was up in the top of the bowl for this one. Up there, it was a little chilly. You know, it wasn't as chilly as we thought it was. I was shaking a little bit every now and then. My legs were cold. But to start off the game, there's 11 minutes left to go in the second quarter, and Alabama's up 17-0. And you're like, oh, man, what is going on right now in Jordan-Hare Stadium? But it's the Iron Bowl. It was a matter of time of when something was going to go wrong and how was Auburn going to capitalize on it and what was Alabama going to do wrong. Fletcher said that to me while we were in the stands. He looks over at me and goes, here's what's going wrong. Are we going to be able to come back from it? Auburn kicks 2 field goals, 17-6. And then what, they score right before half? Or they score right out of half?
Two
One right
touchdown
out
of
or
half.
2 field goal. So it was a field goal, and then it got a 3-and-out on Bama, field goal to in the half. They scored on the opening drive of the half to make it
And then another field
13-20.
goal, right?
And no, they scored a touchdown and tied up.
Was it a
Or
touchdown?
Bama field goal, Auburn tied it up.
Okay.
It was Auburn scored the touchdown at a half. Bama kicked a field goal somewhere in between there and that. Talty found his leg, I guess. Not really
He
sure.
kicked
what
the
was
field
going
goal
on.
with 7:31, and
Yeah.
then Jeremiah Cobb with this, the rush touchdown right there. This was interesting to me in this game is the fact that Alabama struggled with passing the ball and looked good running the ball early on. Jam Miller was playing well. A lot of things were going right for this Alabama offense early on, and then it just kind of hit Auburn won the middle 8. Auburn won the offensive stat category and still lost this game. And you're like, man, that never happens. Well, let's go ahead and take a trip back to this Alabama-Oklahoma game that happened 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. The exact same thing happened. You can perform better in stats offensively, and you can win the middle 8 of a football game and still lose it just because of self-inflicted wounds.
Can I put something out there real quick?
Yep.
So if you look at Ashton Daniels' stat line, I don't remember. He had an absurd amount of incompletions. I'm
18
willing
for
to say
39.
about, if you said 15 for 39, I guarantee you
18
11 of
for
those are
39.
drops. I guarantee you 11 of those are drops, and 10 are off target. Because I'm so
don't-
serious. Whoever our tight ends coach is, he needs to be shunned and banned from the state of Alabama, the city of Auburn. Warrant for his arrest. I'm tired of it. Preston
I don't know
Howard
what was
needs
going
to
on.
transfer.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it. 15 off the field.
I don't know
I'll
what
tell you-
happened with.
I'll tell
the
you what.
receivers.
If Auburn catches the ball, they win that game comfortably.
Ton. By the
I'll
way.
put it that way.
Ton.
They aren't struggling to move the ball if they can catch the ball. They have
And-
over 500 yards if they can catch the ball.
The whole thing about Alabama looking good at running the ball is it's just like I said last week that all Auburn has to do is try to stop the pass and get to Ty Simpson and hit him. Not even just make him throw interceptions or force incompletions, but have it in the back of his mind that these guys are going to hit me no matter what. And they came out and ran the ball because Auburn was out there playing pass pro. That's all they were doing. And then finally, Durkin made the adjustment to start focusing more on the run, playing pass secondary, and it started working. I mean, Bama scored 10 points in the second half compared to their 17 that we spotted them in the first.
I'll tell you what, if you would have told me last week when we were doing this preview that Alabama would have had more rushing yards, I know it's only by 6 yards, but had more rushing yards in this game than Auburn did, I would have called you crazy. I would have been like, there's no way. There's no possible way that Alabama has 158 yards on the ground. I was thinking 120 max. And something happened in this Alabama team in the beginning, especially the beginning of the game, that ended up turning around. But the problem with Alabama still remains to be your defense gets you stops, and then you give it 3 and out. You give it 3 and out. You give it 3 and out. And that defense gets worn down, and they can only hold up for so long. Alabama's defense is playing great ball right now. They're doing what they need to do. They're getting things done. Ashton Daniels started posing a little bit of threat whenever he started getting outside the pocket, but you really need some help from your offense. They really got to start moving the ball. They got to start putting together first downs to be able to keep you well rested on the sidelines. Auburn win in the middle 8. Therefore, they bring this game back in close, and it's like, oh no, here's an old-fashioned Iron Bowl. What's going to happen? As a Bama fan, whenever you're sitting in the stands with 11 minutes to go in the second quarter and You're up 17. The whole stadium feels a little deflated. And I called my buddy Colby. I was like, "Hey, Colby, what are you thinking?" He's like, "Dude, it's hard to cheer for a team whenever all they're doing is dropping the ball. I mean, you can't cheer for a team whenever every receiver that's getting thrown to is dropping the ball. It's hard to pull for your team." But they make a comeback. They make it interesting going down the wire. Ty Simpson drives Alabama down with 3:50 left to go in the game. Throws a
I
strike
don't
to
think
Isaiah
Ty
Horton.
Simpson did that driving. Okay. The Zebra Man got Ty Simpson down there on the 5. The
There
roughing the
were some
passer
calls.
on Xavier Atkins is the correct call. Yes. Was he shooting for his legs? No. If you watch the replay, he was tripped up and pushed
But
whilst
you just said,
pursuing the quarterback.
you just said it was the correct call.
It
Just
was
wanna
the
keep that in
correct
mind.
call, but you got to think about the flags leading up to it. There was a few questionable ones. But
I mean,
even
yeah,
then, still so, Auburn still had a chance to come out and tie the game. I mean, it's not like there was no time left.
It wasn't like there wasn't makeup calls too. We'll refer to the next Auburn drive. You got gifted a first down as well on what a DPI that could
It's
have
4th
been
and
a
4,
fair game.
which it was looking back on his DPI. He got there early. He hit Eric Singleton before the ball got to him.
Ugh. It's just whenever you start blaming the zebras, and then also you get down the 20-yard line to end the game, and Cam Coleman fumbles it. It's hard to back that up. Right? If you did everything in your power to win, and you felt like you got cheated, that's one thing. But can't make mistakes. Can't make mistakes.
Yeah. What sucks about the whole Cam Coleman thing is, in my opinion, I love the dude to death, but I think he should have just being hurt. I know it's the Iron Bowl. You got a lot riding on the game. Don't go out there if you're not 100% or at least above 90, because he tweaked his hamstring in the first drive, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure, and never recovered afterwards. He had 2 catches on the day, and one of them he fumbled on.
He didn't look necessarily extremely hurt though. Like he was still
You
moving
could
good.
tell that the speed in his routes wasn't there, and he ran a stutter route. I think it was in the 4th. I think. I mean, faster. I think it's the young guy, Xavier
It was
Brown.
Navian Brown, yeah.
I think Cam Coleman probably could have beat him had he been 100%, but he just got absolutely boxed on it, given he's
Yeah,
run the route 1,000 times all season. But
Xavier Brown looked good in this game.
he did.
We're sitting up the stands, and I was telling Fletcher that 2 is playing hard. 2 is the guy who is playing well right now. Jim,
No
what'd you think
Damani
of this game,
Jackson.
man?
No Damani Jackson.
Yeah. I think Alabama's problem is offensively, we get 2, 3, maybe even 8 yards on a first down. Like, say, I know one drive last night, we got 8 yards on the first down. Second down, nothing. Third down, I think we converted it. I can't remember. But it's like you're putting too much pressure on your quarterback and on your receivers if you can't get the first down on second down. It's like, well, we can't do that. That's against our policy to get a first down on second. I think there's a lot Alabama needs to look at offensive wise. Like, defense is playing out of their mind the best they can. But offensively, it's like we've just gone downhill fast.
This was an offense that looked like probably the other, besides the run game, like the best passing offense in football for the first. I was after week 1, like the 4 or 5 weeks after that, they looked great.
Going into the bye week before LSU, that offense looked unstoppable. Questionable against Missouri, whatever. And then it's just like, what happened? Like,
I think a lot of it is strength of pass rush now, because Alabama had a very top loaded schedule where it was more secondary prone. Like Georgia, you could say has a pretty decent pass rush, but it's not like an Oklahoma or an LSU like level of pass rush. Like Missouri has a good pass rush. South Carolina has a good pass. Like all the teams that Bama has came in and struggled with passing wise, I think a lot started right there in the trenches because of how quick and how strong these pass rushes have been for the defense that they've had to play like these past 6-7 weeks. I think that's a lot of why you've seen Ty Simpson regress. Is he doesn't have the time to make reads and really get the ball out as quick as he wants to.
Mm-hmm. You know, I one thing that I noticed or that really irked my nerves as far as offensively in this game. Whenever you're up 17-0, like I said, with around 11 minutes to go, and you run a reverse flea flicker, trying to look down the field and throw it on second down, like, brother, just run the ball. Like, just milk this clock out. Why are we doing this? Why are we putting ourselves in a bad spot? Why are we getting our quarterback killed? Why are we putting the ball in jeopardy? We're moving the ball well. And that just completely deflated our offense from then on out, I feel like.
I'll tell you what it was. I'll bet you money they were like, oh, pretty easy. We'll just take our step back. Well, when we took our step back, Auburn took a step up. And we couldn't catch our step again until we get the fumble.
Mm-hmm.
And defensive-wise, I got a question, bro. You're making Ashton Daniels look uncomfortable the first 2 drives. And then after, it's like you quit rushing. You rush 3. And you're trying to set up these stunts that take too long to set up. You go back and watch. I noticed it with Yanze Pierre and Quay Russaw most of the night after the first 2 drives. They are running to the left guard while the tackle right beside them is engaged with the left guard, and then they're rolling off of them. That takes too long. Like, that's 5 seconds maybe. 3, 4, 5, whatever. It's taking too long to get there, and you're letting him get more comfortable. He looked more comfortable throughout the night after the first 2 drives because we quit putting pressure on him.
You know,
our secondary played good, but
I feel like we had a lack of contain on Ashton Daniels. There's a lot of times where he was able to improvise and find somebody downfield. And by somebody, I mean Malcolm Simmons. My God, the kid had a game 3 for 152, and what would have been 2 touchdowns gets called back for the legal shift, which it was.
I hated that, man. That was such. I hated that, really. I hated that it got called. But the second it happened, I was with my grandparents and a bunch of my cousins, my uncle, and he immediately goes, "Well, that's an illegal shift right there." And I was like, "No way!" And then of course he's on like the 20-yard line about to run into the end zone. You just see the bottom of the screen flag, and that's just like, "Yep, there it goes. That's coming back."
It was rough. But you know, Ashton Daniels was not the problem in this game. We'll go ahead and review our.
He looked on. I'm just gonna say, even with a spy, Ashton Daniels showed how fast he is. Because the second half, they were worried about him getting out and making plays with his legs, which he just did it anyway. It didn't matter. I mean, they had a linebacker sitting on a spot watching just him the whole second half, and he was either finding a way to make him miss or get him to move like out of the way so he could hit a receiver where he was standing. He was doing exactly what we needed Ashton Daniels to do, and our receivers just could not capitalize on it. And we've got probably the most skilled wide receiver core we've ever had at Auburn. And just no one could catch the ball.
Yeah. It struggles with drops. If you're Alabama, notable players on defense that had great games, Xavier Brown, Bray Hubbard, Red Morgan, played a hell of a game, all 3 of them. Red Morgan, man, he is fun to watch. He attacks the ball so well. We'll go over our score predictions. Pork had Auburn winning 28-27. I had Alabama winning 27-21. RJ had 31-20 Auburn. Jen, I don't have yours wrote down. I can't remember.
I wasn't home.
I can't remember even.
But you know what's crazy though? When it got to 27-20, I was sitting there because I ended up having to come home at halftime, and I told my girlfriend, I was like, "Look, we're about to win 28-27, and I'm gonna get on the podcast tomorrow, and I'm just gonna flaunt it the whole time. I'm not gonna stop talking about it." And now here we are. Thank you, Cam Coleman. I love you, buddy. 8. That's what we were gonna get on that drive had you scored. All right, so.
I don't think he would have scored anyway. So
yeah, we'll move on to some more Auburn news. We'll go to Alex Golesh named the next Auburn head coach. New head coach Alex Golesh is expected to bring former Auburn wide receiver and assistant coach Cody Burns back to the Plains. What are we thinking on this, guys? Y'all like this hire? I personally think it's a B+ to B hire. I think Alex Golesh is an offensive mastermind who has rebuilt UCF to a 9-3 football team this year, 7-6 the past 2 years, but nonetheless, a good team.
CF or SF? Is it South or Central?
It's
South
Florida. Did I say UCF?
I think so. I don't know. I might have heard S.
Just got another one that he's bringing with him.
Yeah, Andrew Warsaw, general manager and chief of staff, going to be going with him too. Is that right, Jim?
We about like Pete Makos out here reporting it.
But
Just pops up.
nonetheless, Alex Golesh, he's tricky, man. He was on that Heupel staff. He was a Saban tree. He's going to be pretty good out there in the Plains. Do I think he's going to take Auburn to 12-0, 10-2 seasons? No. But do I think he's going to get you a consistent 8-4 and possibly have a good run every now and then? Yes. Do I think he's going to be able to get you to close out games? Because that seems like it's been Auburn's problem all year is the lack of being able to close. Yes, I think he'll close on more games. Maybe not all, but you'll close on more. Do I think he's better than Hugh Freeze? Yes. Do I think he deserves a shot? Yes.
I'd put Chin out there on the Plains, and I think he's better than Hugh Freeze. I mean, good God.
I'll take it. Give me the money he's
Yeah,
making.
give him the 30 and see how that
Give me
rolls.
the 30. I'll take the job.
Give me half.
No, I'll take half.
I'll take one. Give me half of one.
Exactly.
Give me 50 bands. I'll come do it. No, the way what you looking at me crazy? So the way I look at it is you got a head coach now who has shown he can develop quarterback talent, which is what you want if you want to retain Deuce Knight, which is a lot of the reason why I feel like they hired him is because we know Deuce is going to be the future. He's going to be the play caller. Like he's going to be the guy he's going to be the workhorse in the system, in my opinion.
I think he'll also help out Ashton on his final year.
That's the other question, or the other thing that's kind of in the air now is what does Auburn do with Ashton Daniels, and do they push him to hit the portal? Because if it's me, if you don't play Deuce Knight next season, he's gone. If there is any doubt in his mind that he will not come in and play next season and play 90% or 75 to 90% of the games, I've got a feeling that Deuce Knight will not be there next year. So with that being said, you have to have Ashton Daniels go, and if he goes, you keep Deuce. If he stays, you lose Deuce, which you lose the future of your program if you let that happen. Because then you have a chance to develop him as well as give him a year with Cam Coleman, and you actually have a quarterback that is willing to throw the ball and doesn't really care about incompletion and so that he just wants to win. Deuce just wants to go out and win and have fun.
Deuce Knight is very Byron Brown-esque. Like he is a pretty good mobile quarterback that has a decent arm, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Byron Brown, whenever we watched him play in Alabama at Tuscaloosa against Nick Saban in 23, right? This USF team was scary. Alex Golesh has a way of trying to figure out how to win big games, but it's kind of like Kalen DeBoer in the fact that he drops the small games and wins the big games or hangs around and convinces you that, man, this guy could win this game whenever he's not supposed to. I think that Alex Golesh will be a good hire, like I was saying. I think this offense, I'm curious to see how his offense holds up in playing consistent competition week in, week out, whenever you're having to face multiple SEC teams in the year and not just your spotty one or two good teams throughout the year. Shannon, what are you thinking about this hire?
I like the hire. I think I'd probably give it like an A-. He's probably the best fit Auburn could have gotten. But back to what you were saying, I think you might see a little Quinn Ewers, Arch Manning type of offense ran. I don't want to see that.
I hate that
because
dude.
I think Deuce will probably be the better one if he could get his arm right. But I think y'all got the guy that will develop Deuce Knight right. And if Ashton Daniels does decide to stay, I'm going to have to disagree with you. I don't think Deuce would leave.
With Deuce having to burn his red shirt this year, I think that he wouldn't want to sit out another year. He's going to have to burn his red shirt if he wants to keep his year because he's only played in 2 games. So he's got his red shirt to invoke if he wants to, or he could save it till next year and take a full red shirt year. But with that being said, if Deuce having to burn his red shirt is a lot of the reason why I think he would leave, given the chance that he might not be the starter. I think what you do is you give Deuce a check, you give Cam a check that they can't refuse to stay at Auburn. You get Cam as healthy as possible, puts a little more weight on him, and then you try to build your team around the running back core you have, which Jeremiah Cobb will leave after next season. He's already talked about coming back. And there's also been murmurs that Keldrick Faulk's thinking about coming back, which I know is not going to happen. But he's talking about that how much he loves being at Auburn and he just wants to see this team win at least once. at least start to win while he's here. With that being said, his brother's also got a higher chance of playing this coming season. And Perry Thompson and Malcolm Simmons, that's who you need to be building around as well as Deuce Knight, because Perry Thompson's got 2 more years left, I think, because he didn't.
I don't know if Perry Thompson's staying.
No.
Perry got a lot more playing time this year than he did.
Do you see his Instagram story?
I didn't. No, I try not to look at it if I can help it.
He posted and said, love the brotherhood I built with y'all boys, my brothers, no matter what, no matter how it go. That was after the game in the locker room. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be staying. One thing I do think, though, one thing that you touched on was the run back core for this offense. You know, USF's a top 40 rushing team. Alex Golesh likes to go up tempo, high explosiveness with a run heavy focus, right? And I think if you can keep some of these receivers like Cam Coleman, if you can keep Deuce Knight, if you can keep Ashton Daniels, if you can retain roster talent, and DJ Durkin be staying there, because DJ Durkin's going to get jobs thrown at him to go be a head coach some elsewhere. If you can retain roster talent, retain DJ Durkin, Auburn's got a chance to do something great in the upcoming future. Next year, I do not think they will be amazing, but there will be steps in the right direction, because right now you are kind of at the bottom of the barrel, you feel like, and you can really only work your way up. I do think that 7-5, depending on how much roster talent they retain, how much they gain through the portal, because Alex Golesh is a very cocky, likable coach, a lot like Lane Kiffin in the aspect of very outgoing. And I think that really goes out to kids nowadays and makes them want to play on the football team. I think that Alex Golesh will do good things at Auburn. Maybe not extremely, I don't know, high ranking things. I don't think playoff run maybe. But do I think he'll be competitive at Auburn? Yes. Do I think it'll be annoying to watch him play Auburn? Yes.
If we can sit around where Tennessee is sitting right now, 3 to 4 losses consistently, have the occasional 5-loss season in there, I think just progression is all Auburn fans want to see right now. We don't want to be next year. Oh, we're not going to be the number 1 team in the nation. Nobody wants to be like, hey, we're going to the number 1 team in the nation. That's the bottom standard. That's RJ. Nobody wants to feel like RJ after week 4. Okay, when we get deflated against Oklahoma.
I'll tell you this: Auburn really messed themselves up with Durkin. They waited it too long to be able to, because I think Summerall hired to Florida, which is a great hire for Florida in my opinion. Summerall is going to be a good coach. At Florida, I feel like I think he would have been a great pickup for Auburn, but you waited too long. Whenever you let Durkin ride out those couple of weeks to be able to get somebody like Summerall, when you know Florida has probably already gave up on Lane, and LSU and Ole Miss are probably the only ones in that contention. So Golesh is your next best hire, I feel like. So good hire from Auburn, giving what's on the table. I figured it was going to be Durkin to stay, but
Golesh was kind of out of left field for me, because I thought he was
an Arkansas guy.
I didn't think he was going to Arkansas. I mean, I thought he was going to end up
I thought he'd actually replace.
I thought he was going to move to a smaller.
Lane was to leave.
You talking about Summerall or Golesh?
Golesh.
Summerall apparently was the favorite for the Ole Miss job. That's why Florida jumped on Summerall the way he did. But apparently, I'm not 100% sure how true it is. It's just all hearsay. So I don't want to misquote it. But they did say that while in contract talks with Summerall, that Summerall requested to not have Durkin, and Auburn AD John Cohen said Durkin has to be a part of your coaching staff. And that's basically when Summerall just said, no, I don't want DJ Durkin. I don't want him as my defensive coordinator. Which in my mind is crazy, because he's one of the best defensive minds in the SEC.
Yeah.
And it's just hard. I don't know what's more weird, that Summerall wouldn't want Durkin, or that John Cohen was pushing Durkin on Summerall regardless of what Summerall wanted. It's just it's a little odd is the main thing.
I don't know how much I would. I think Florida's had this hire tucked away for a while.
I think Florida got a great pickup. I loved the idea of Auburn getting Summerall, but it kind of sucks that we don't have him. But we got Golesh. We got an offensive guy. We've got our defensive guy for the future, I think, in DJ Durkin. He loves it here. Talks about how much he loves it all the time. Mm-hmm. If we can just keep Durkin happy, I think we'll be good.
Yeah. Final gradings for this Auburn hire. Port, what's your from F to A? What are you thinking?
I think A minus I think A minus is about where this sits for me, just because of the fact that Auburn needs a great offensive minded coach with somebody who's willing to do whatever it takes offensively to win and not just try to stick to one game plan the whole game. And he also gets to keep your defensive coordinator, which should retain half your roster. That's the big thing for me, is
Jen,
roster retention.
F to A, what are you thinking, brother?
I'd give it an A minus too.
Respectable. I think I'm going to go with B. And it's not anything against Golish. I think this is the best hire on the market, given the circumstances. But I don't think, like I said, he 9-3 at USF. He hasn't really been to a conference championship game. He's won some games that he should not have won, but he's also lost the games that he should not have lost. Summerall, I felt like would have been the better hire. I feel like Summerall would have been my A minus hire, slash A plus hire. B plus for me with Golish, just because of the given market for head coaches at the current moment. I want to see where Sam Pittman lands. I really feel like he needs to be an offensive line or offensive coordinator somewhere. I think he'd be great at that. We'll move to this Lane Kiffin. Or you got something you want to say, Port? Sorry.
Dillingham posted on Twitter about 2 or 3 hours ago. Great hire for Auburn. Like, I don't know if he was being facetious or if he was being serious, but I mean, it's good to see.
Serious.
Because I mean, Dillingham would have been a good hire too. It just everybody wanted
leave.
Summerall, but he wasn't leaving. He wasn't going to come to us.
I want to say Dillingham and Golish coach together somewhere.
That would make sense on why he said great hire, congrats, coach. That would make a lot more sense.
Because Dillingham, Golish was at Tennessee with Hendon Hooker and somewhere else.
There's
another
quarterback.
Brock Purdy was in there, and Joe Milton.
That's who it was, Joe Milton. Yep.
Lane Kiffin, here we go. This is the last topic for the show. It's going to be probably the most interesting one. Lane Kiffin booed on his way to LSU at the Ole Miss airport this afternoon. The report of that. Yeah. I got mixed feelings about this one because LSU is a better job, right? But the way Lane went about it, but he didn't really have a choice, and that's the kind of the nature of college football now. Is if he wanted to take this job, he had to take it now. It would not have been available at the end of the season. And Ole Miss's staff did not want him to hang around for the coach. He tried to stay around. Lane was very vocal about the fact that he tried to stay for the playoffs, and Ole Miss did not allow him to do that. Rightfully so. So I'm more upset with the schedule of college football than I am with Lane Kiffin. Now, how Lane is going about this is what I'm upset with. Lane basically came out and said that he's going to take as much as he can to LSU with them. I feel the worst for the players that are about to have to go on this, playoff run with Pete Golding at the helm in a replacement. Staff moving with. I want to give this staff that's moving with him real quick, and then let's see what we got. Staff moving with Kiffin is Charlie Wise Jr., offensive coordinator, George McDonald, wide receivers coach, Billy Glassick, general manager, Nick Savage, head strength and conditioning coach, Thaddeus Rivers, senior associate AD for football operations. Pete Golding was announced at interim, and Ole Miss college football playoff futures. That's one thing I want to touch on, and the comparison hit with FSU without the quarterback. But Jen, Fort, y'all go ahead and give me what you got.
All right, so
that's huge.
Technically, it's not interim Pete Golding. It's
permanent.
Permanent.
Yeah,
Pete
that's
Golding.
the new head coach.
When I wrote my note
for
this segment,
technically,
he was the only interim. So
technically, players could transfer. They could just be like, I ain't
That's
playing with you no more.
That's going to have to.
There's a
problem.
window.
It's a 30-day window now.
30-day window
days
they can leave
from the second they hire a new coach. So that means Auburn's portal just opened as well today. Which
you won't see them today. You'll probably.
That's
see
what
them
you got to worry about
week.
in the coming week. Is you're about to watch your Georgias, your Bamas, your not LSU. They're not going to do anything. You're about to see them start pursuing. You're about to see them start pursuing some really big names. Like, is Kawan Lacey? Is he a senior yet, or is he a junior?
No, he got one more year.
You got one more.
So you're going to have people calling Kawan Lacey. You'll probably have a Deuce Knight phone call. Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson, maybe even Malcolm Simmons at that point too. And then, of course, there's going to Keyron Crawford will get a call. Xavier Atkins is going to get lots of money thrown at him. Probably the most money on the Auburn team, in my opinion. I think Xavier Atkins is the
He's a
best pickup for
dog.
anybody in college football from this Auburn team.
Who's number 24?
That's Kieran Crawford.
That's Keyron Crawford. He is.
Okay.
He is getting the who is it that Will Anderson played with that was really good on the other
Dallas
side of the
Turner.
edge? He's getting the Dallas
Yeah,
Turner
Dallas.
treatment to where he's going unblocked because they are worried about Keldrick Falk. But I don't know if y'all noticed him beginning of the season. He was making just as many plays as Keldrick was start of the season. Auburn has had the best, like two of the best edge rushers we've ever had at the same time playing on the same line across from each other. It has been an unreal pass rush we've had, and it's going to all be gone next year, I'm afraid.
I think Chambliss gets a phone call
Chambliss
because
is
Lane likes him a lot. He'll get a phone call.
But here's the thing, though. I forgot about Chambliss because now that opens up the door for everybody to call on Chambliss.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If I'm Auburn at this point, you just got to go get another quarterback just in case Deuce does leave, because there's
I think
a high chance
if you're
Deuce
Auburn,
does.
I think if you're Auburn, you go get Mario Taylor at Mississippi State. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's talk about Lane Kiffin trying to pull players from this Ole Miss roster. I don't think anybody from this Ole Miss roster is going to leave until after this playoff run. And I talked about the Ole Miss college football playoff futures and how not having a head coach affects them. The reason that I would say it does not affect them, not in the fact of seeding, not in the fact of play, right? In the fact of seeding, is because we have not seen a game without Lane Kiffin. Florida State, you saw 3 games without, Travis, right? You saw 3 games. You saw how they were not good. They were not good moving the ball. They struggled to win, to be able to make it past teams that they should have beat 100,000 to nothing. The offense did not look impressive, but this Lane Kiffin, you haven't had a player, or this Ole Miss team, you have not had a player that has been a necessary vital part. You have had the head coach, which is arguably more important, but how will the players come together, and will they get this interim boost throughout the playoffs? Who knows? I think that it shouldn't affect Ole Miss's seeding. I think it's unfair to the players, and it's not correct. FSU comparison, like I said, is the fact that you saw them play prior to the playoffs.
And I mean, you got to look at it. It was a player for FSU
who was basically their whole team.
Basically, their whole team.
He was their Cam Newton.
You look at it like this: Ole Miss loses Lane and the offensive coordinator and a bunch of offensive staff. The thing that's going to create a lot of havoc for them, which when do playoffs start? 2 weeks?
It's week after next, right?
Yeah.
Like a week after this weekend. It's like not this Saturday, but next. Or is it the Saturday after?
It'll be December 19th. Will be the first week.
Holy crap!
So
let's go.
They got 3 weeks to get something figured out, which they're probably already working right now.
Don't be surprised for a Derek Nix reunion here, dude. For real, Derek Nix reunion. Back to Ole Miss, going to be their offensive coordinator, because he's not a bad play caller. I just think he got put under somebody who was, and got the flack. Like, didn't get a bunch of flack for it, but a lot of people were questionable on what he'd be able to do at Auburn.
I'm not going to say almost has plenty of time.
If he was to leave, I don't think it would be within the next 2 days. I think it'd be a little bit after him getting to know Golish and Golish seeing if he likes him or whatnot. I don't see him leaving though. Especially you look at what he did after Freeze got fired. Like, he's a good offensive coordinator. I don't think he just gets
a lot of people. I think Turtle I think it was Turtle or Cody that was telling me about just how you can't really base a lot off of Derek Nix's play calling because he's not been play calling against top defenses. He play called against Vandy and Mercer, were his 2 main play calling gigs this year so far. But I mean, you look at those 2 games, he scored 100-something points. Yeah, one of them's a mid-ladder to low-ladder SEC defense, and the other one is Mercer. But then at Bama, he looked really good. I mean, against Bama, he looked really good, play calling wise.
He's making the right calls.
I mean, and the thing is that Ashton Daniels made a lot of the right reads. The pick wasn't Pick wasn't his fault either.
That pick was not on Ashton Daniels.
He hit him in the chest. Did he throw it? That's another kid I want to talk about who is an actual dog. His name he's Justin Jones. He's a freshman, I think. Hold on, I'll pull it up.
He's a freshman.
Yeah. No, he's a
redshirt freshman.
It wasn't Justin Jones.
No, who was it?
I
don't know. The
number
kid is an
29.
absolute monster, though.
It's 35,
Yeah,
Justin Jones.
Jones kid.
Yeah, Jones. That's who it was.
He threw it to 29, and it just hit right off his helmet.
Oh, that's Mabson. Yeah, he's from Auburn. He won a state championship at Auburn High School. Yeah, that was all on him. Hit him in the face.
Yeah. Well, with Ole Miss in the playoffs, right? I'm gonna try to take it back to that.
Yeah, we need to get back on that.
Yeah,
December 19th is the first round, right? December 19th is the first round. They're probably going to be in position to have the home playoff game. They should be in position to have the home playoff game. You have time if you're Pete Golden. By time, I mean you have 19 days, roughly 20 days. You have almost 3 weeks to get things back in the right. What's the headspace of the players? Is it, oh my goodness, we hate Lane Kiffin, let's come together and let's win? Or is it in shambles? I think it's in shambles because obviously they're 20-year-old kids who have just had their whole career changed, present and future, more than likely.
After winning their big rivalry game for the year, too.
Yes, and winning in a dominant fashion, right? And I saw on Twitter where some of the players were saying that Lane couldn't even tell us in person, couldn't tell us face to face. So, as far as poaching players to LSU, I think that is a possibility, but I think there's a lot of lost respect for Lane in that locker room. How will Pete Golden be able to capitalize on this and use this mindset to flip a switch in these LSU players to make sure that they're ready to go for round 1 of the playoffs? Luckily, you don't have to play in the SEC championship game, so you have time. Right, that's the good thing about not making the SEC championship game. If Alabama were to lose, then they would not have time to readjust and see what they need to do. I think
if you're Ole Miss, you're happy Bama won at this point.
Yes.
Even though you were pulling for Bama to lose to start the weekend because you thought Lane had a chance of staying. Now that Lane left, you're thanking God that Bama won because now you don't have to worry about it.
Would have stayed if they would have made the SEC championship.
Do I blame Lane for going to LSU? No. Is it unfortunate how he had to go to LSU? Yes. But is that the nature of college football nowadays? Yes.
Yeah.
So can you be upset with him? You can, but it's with a grain of salt because that's probably not how he wanted to go out on this football team. And what do you think about Lane's future at LSU? Because you just saw Brian Kelly, who did fairly okay in his first 2 years. His third year, he had a blow up year, and then they fire him. They kick him out the door. LSU is one of those places that if you go 8-4, you'll be out the door quicker than you came in the door.
Yep. Which I don't understand that either, because LSU went 7-5. They went 7-5, and this is considered a horrible year for LSU. But you go look back at their previous years. They had one good season in 2019.
The expectation at LSU is like Alabama, and the fact that the fan base believes that they should go 10-2 at worst every year. Anything lower than that is hot seat for your coach. Talk.
I think a lot of what got Kelly fired is the 3-5 in SEC play.
Yeah,
that is what I really think got him messed up. The Ole Miss loss started it all, and then you lose 3 straight to Vandy, Texas, A&M, and Bama. I think he just kind of got screwed by the schedule, in my opinion. He just didn't really have a great schedule this season. He played a lot of hard games.
The double side to this LSU job compared to this Ole Miss job is the fact that you're going to LSU for more money, you're going to LSU and more resources, but you're also going for a more volatile coaching job. Whenever if you would have stayed at Ole Miss, you're a legend, you're getting a statue. Even hell, if you make the playoffs more than once, you are going to be the Pete Nakos just came out and said Michigan State is hiring former Northwestern head coach Pat Fitzgerald. Pat Fitzgerald. I'm trying to read it before the notification goes away on my.
Yeah, they had talked about him being their number 1 guy earlier.
Yeah.
So since we're talking about the whole coaching jobs open and stuff like that, what are the odds that Kalen DeBoer loses the SEC championship? Okay. All right, I'm talking to you, Chen, because he doesn't want to hear this because it's probably going to happen. The bad thing is there's a really good chance it could happen. But what are the odds he takes the Penn State job due to the fact that he's missed the playoffs back-to-back years, and the fans, I feel like, are getting just fed up with it without even being a playoff team at this point.
One
But
thing
a
I
lot of it,
hate.
I'll put it this way: everybody in this Alabama fan base
are you
is
good?
spoiled rotten.
Are you good, gang?
Yeah, I had to burp.
I start crying.
Everybody is spoiled rotten because of what Nick Saban did. But they both have the same record they did the first 2 years. And Kalen DeBoer has the chance to add hardware.
Time to pull it up. Hold on. Let me pull up what I want to pull up.
You pull it up. It was on Twitter, boy.
No, I'm not pulling up that on Twitter. I'm pulling up something else.
I think the deal is what I can't stand is Alabama fans trying to force Kalen DeBoer out the door with 2 good seasons under his belt. This is not the same college football era that was 10 years ago. And don't get it twisted. There's teams that are more competitive because of the transfer portal. Every team is not just a pushover. Look at this Auburn game. This is a 5-6 Auburn game that was a competitive game. Look at the LSU game. That's a competitive roster you have to play against. Look at Florida. Texas playing Florida. They're 3-8 right now, but Texas went to the swamp and lost because they have a talented roster, right? There's talent all over college football now and not just in certain spots. So it makes it harder for coaches. Kalen DeBoer, has it been dominant whenever he's won games? No. But is that off the pattern of what he was at Washington? No. At Washington, he won games. He didn't win them by a huge margin, but he found a way to win games. And what does it matter if you win by 7, 10, or 37? Because it's all marked up as a W at the end of the day, no matter what. So if I'm going 10-2 and I'm in 1-score games all year and I still make it in the playoffs and I still make it in the national championship, what would have been any different if I would have won by 20 in most of those games and made it the national championship? Because at the end of the day, the verdict would have been, hey, I still made it to the national championship either way. Alabama fans that are trying to force Kalen DeBoer out of Alabama have no reason to, besides the fact that they are spoiled. And tell me what the better coach on the market is. It's not Lane Kiffin.
There's nobody.
It's not Kiffin. It's not Dan Lanning. You're not going to get Lanning. You're not going to get Smart. You're not going to get. I mean, who do you want?
That's the big question. You want Kane Womack to come in and be your interim or your
Absolutely
head
not.
coach? Because that's who they'd probably promote. I mean, that's who you or they.
No, they
Just
might
don't
go
know.
Grubb.
DeBoer getting a job look from Penn State says more than what you need to know. There's a reason why he's getting looked at by Penn State because he's a good coach. He's a good offensive mind. Is he struggling to win games by a large margin? Yes. But does that matter at the end of the day whenever you look at the record and it still says 10-2 and not 10 maybe could have been 3?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I think what's hurting him though isn't so much the amount of losses, it's the strength of said losses. Because I mean, you look at last year, you lose to a Vandy team that ended up turning itself like this is the turn of Vanderbilt football was last year in October, was when Vanderbilt football turned into, oh my God, this might be a serious program. And then they also lost against Tennessee at Rocky Top and Michigan in the bowl game last year. That was what I think.
At Oklahoma.
And at Oklahoma, but at Oklahoma, you score 3 points at Oklahoma.
The Oklahoma drop was bad, right?
I think Oklahoma and Michigan are the 2 worst losses from last season.
Michigan, I'm not really worried about because it was kind of like a balled out deal at the end of the year.
Yeah,
the whole games
fair.
don't really like everybody's kind of not counting those games anymore just because of what they are, which is sad to say because they're still football games. You still should take it serious.
Sad.
But the Vanderbilt game is not as bad now as what it was in the moment, right? The Tennessee game was not a bad loss last year. We could have lost that game by way more, but it wasn't Rocky Top. Tally cards fall. You lost at Tennessee in your first year as the Alabama head coach.
But you look at this, though. I mean, Vanderbilt dogged Tennessee out in Rocky Top this year, dude. Yeah. But I think the Florida State loss is what everybody's really
everybody's hanging on to that, bro.
Because the 31, I mean, given it was week 1 and Florida State had almost, 5 months to prepare? 3 months, basically. They were probably preparing at the middle of last year.
They were preparing as soon as they got out of that season.
It was quoted by an FSU player the other day that they had been preparing for that game since January. And let me give you this verdict, right? If you're Alabama, how do you prepare for this team? They got a new offensive coordinator new offensive or defensive coordinator, new quarterback, new running back, new wide receivers, new offensive line, new defense. You have no film. You have no tape in comparison to what they have on you. Last year, we'll talk about last year's season with Kalen DeBoer and why I'm gonna back him up on that because I don't feel like Jalen Milroe was a scheme fit for Kalen DeBoer last year. And I feel like that was the largest issue for them last year.
What is
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, I'll
What?
pop
Oh,
the screen while
you
you're
missed
talking.
it. You were reading
What are we
something.
doing? Hey, what are we doing,
You missed it, bro.
bro? You know what's crazy? I was like, I'm gonna wear a t-shirt. She's like, no, just put your Auburn polo on. Really?
Mods banner. Mods banner.
You're mods. You're mods, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. Actually. Hold on. But no, I think Alabama is right where they need to be coaching wise. They don't need to change anything. I think Kalen DeBoer, you have not seen what Kalen DeBoer and Alabama staff will be. I think they still need time. I think they still need to get recruits in. I think the offensive line is maybe a little too large for what they want to do as far as pulling. You see how they use Parker Brailsford on the outside to get to the edge. They like to recruit. They like to pick up more agile, more athletic guards, and I think in the next 18 months you'll see an actual true Kalen DeBoer offense.
I think Kalen DeBoer is really trying to get his scheme fit right, and he just hasn't been able to because he's using old players from an old scheme. But once he does get his full scheme, that is when I think Bama will start coming back into what they're used to. As much as it pains me as an Auburn fan to say, I think Bama will go back to being dominant again, like true dominance that Bama's used to, not dominant 10 times a year and then you drop 2 games middle, like one late in the season, one early in the season. That's scheme. I think is the issue. Is just he doesn't have the right guys for the scheme right now, and his offensive line is enormous.
Yeah, the Florida State loss looks bad, but whenever you weigh the circumstances, it justifies it just a little bit, right? The Oklahoma loss looks bad, but the good thing about the Oklahoma loss is you should have or could have won that game.
Mm-hmm.
You know that just wasn't I got outplayed. That was I really hurt myself in spots that I didn't need to hurt myself in, and that prevented me from being able to win the game. That's more than one. If we see them again in the playoffs, I am confident that Alabama would be able to get the job done. Ty Simpson performed well in that game. Like, let's not bounce past that. Like Ty Simpson has been struggling, but he really performed well in that Oklahoma game. He almost threw for 400 yards against what was one of the best defenses in college football.
What I think people is getting overshadowed by is the interception, and then the interception that got taken back the drive afterwards that got taken away, and then you also had the strip sack fumble, which ball security not in the air is not Ty's problem. I think the ball getting put on the ground so much is his sense of pressure. His sense of pressure from his right side is what gets him hit as much as it does.
Well,
and I think that's what's getting him hit.
He was untouched off the edge, and Ty was in throwing motion when he got hit. That's like one of those things that are going to happen whenever the offensive line does not perform its job. Like whenever there's not a level of execution, you can't blame it on the quarterback in that sense. The pick that was not called back, I feel like should have been a legal touching. It was just a great play by Oklahoma's defenders. Ty Simpson has turned the ball over a lot this year, and then the one that was called back, I do agree that was pass interference.
Yeah, that was a definite pass interference. I'm not even trying to say that shouldn't have got that was the most obvious pass interference I think that I've seen in a while.
But is this Alabama offense as crisp as what it once was? No. And do I think that they need to find that stride going into the playoffs? Do I think that in this SEC championship, you look back at the Georgia game earlier in the season, they were 13 for 19 on third down. What do we have to do to get back to that spot in this SEC championship game?
What did Alabama end on third down, by the way? I wanted to
like 5 of
4
11.
for 19. Was it not?
It was bad. It was not.
Was it that bad?
Yeah, it was really bad.
Because I know at one point they were 4 for 12 on third down.
Yeah, it was like 4 for 19, but they were 3 for 3 on fourth, and that's what really.
That's okay. That's what it was then.
But overall, man, fun Iron Bowl. It continues to be a great time in Jordan Hare Stadium, and the fact of great games being played there. I look forward to seeing this week. Tuesday's going to be an interesting podcast. Make sure to tune in for that one. Is there anything else that y'all got for us on this one?
The thing to leave with to be thought about is does DeBoer take the Penn State job? Not because he hates Bama, but just because he hates the way that he's getting treated by the fans. The fans that are too spoiled and are saying, we don't want you here, take the Penn State job.
Every fan that does not know football, yeah.
But that's
I feel like you're gonna-
90% of the student section in Alabama. That's the problem.
I feel
They
like
just
you're gonna
want to
get
leave
that.
winning.
I feel like you can get that moderation with every program you're at. Whenever you're at the top pro or one of the top programs in the country, you got to expect to get that more, right?
Mhm.
In Alabama, it says more about yes, it's spoiled, but it says more about the program that they expect those things.
Mhm.
And it is good to have that type of level of presence in your program that you are expected to win. DeBoer, I think, is not going anywhere. I would be willing to put money on it that DeBoer will not take the Penn State job. Why leave Alabama to go to Penn State? Even though you have an easier schedule, you maybe have the opportunity to win, but you're literally at one of the best programs in the country, top 2, top 3 programs in the country to coach. This is people dream and build their coaching careers off of trying to get this spot, and you have it, and you're winning, and you're developing, and you're progressing in the correct ways. Why leave it?
I think the only reason he would leave is because of the fact that you have 2 hard games a season.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the only 2 games you really had to prepare for. Talent can win you the other 10.
You know, if that's what it comes down to, that says a lot about coaching personality.
And that's what I think might be the problem, is because last year you kind of saw a lack of emotion from DeBoer, and you've seen it later on in the season to where DeBoer's not getting fed up, but that the fact that he's not letting anything slide from the refs. And it's just I don't know if he thinks they're against him or what's going on, but I know in the first quarter he was giving one refs the business. I'm talking about all the way up and down the sideline.
That ref deserved it.
The refs and that have been the referees in Auburn all year have been very bad both ways, and I'll stand on that hill and die on that hill.
You've seen the competitive nature come out in DeBoer here recently.
That's what you want to see if you're Alabama
Yes.
fans, is to know that he does care. But I think the hands on the knees, staring into blank space when it all starts going downhill, is what's also getting him flack.
Yeah,
because he does hit the hand on the knees stance about 3 or 4 times a game when something bad happens.
You know, man.
I did the same thing standing in my living room watching the game.
I really hate I didn't get to see your reaction Saturday. I really and truthfully think you probably would have punched me in the face, but
I probably would have.
I wouldn't. I wasn't even talking crazy during the game either. I mean, I was just I really and truthfully was like down 17-0. I was just like, yeah, if Auburn scores, I'm happy at this point.
Yeah. Interesting Iron Bowl, to say the least. Fun when you always know that it's not over until that clock strikes 0 in Jordan-Hare Stadium. This week, Week 15, North Texas, Tulane, Georgia, Bama, Indiana, Ohio State, BYU, Texas Tech, Duke, and Virginia. It's going to be an interesting one. We'll cover it here on the R&D podcast on Tuesday. Guys, anything else?
What day is the Big Ten game? Friday?
The Big Ten game? Yeah, it'll be Saturday. There's only one playing on Friday is North Texas Tulane.
What time is their game? 7?
Hey, game that y'all are forgetting about. Troy James Madison Friday. Okay.
At James Madison.
At James Madison. So you could see a Troy upset alert coming in.
Oh.
Go Jags. Go Jags.
Go Jags. Dude, I'm calling Scott. We're gonna meet you somewhere, buddy.
I know where you live, buddy.
Me, Chin, and Scott are coming over there.
What'd you just throw? Right there.
Anchor down, baby.
Anchor down.
They're going to be in the playoffs.
This has been the R&D podcast. Thank y'all for stopping by. My name's Dalton. We got Chin, and then we got Mr. Porkington the third there. He knows all ball. We'll catch you Tuesday.